Hello, everyone. I'm Angela H. Brown. I am the Executive Director for Craft Lake City, and it is my pleasure to welcome you today to our Lunch and Learn about our latest streetside exhibition for Celebration of the Hand, about our 15th year of the organization. So Craft Lake City has officially been around for 15 years, and as we head into our 15th annual Craft Lake City DIY Festival, we have a fun new exhibition themed about all of our years in existence thus far. But before we go ahead and get started on the show, I want to just talk about a quick few housekeeping notes. If you could please mute your microphone when you're not speaking, that way we can hear the presenters. Also, if you would like to take advantage of the closed captions, you can go ahead and do that by turning on the live transcripts at the bottom of your screen. And if you have any questions, this is an interactive fun event. So please put them in the chat and we'll go ahead and have the Craft Lake City team make sure that your question gets answered at the end of the presentation. You can also save your questions there until the end as well. And then last but not least, we have a quick survey that we'd love your help and support with. We'll be putting that in the chat. And if you could just take a moment and fill that out at the end of the presentation today, this will help us create better programming for you in the future. So as you know, Craft Lake City is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and our mission is to educate, promote, and inspire local artisans while elevating the creative culture of the Utah arts community through science, technology, and art. And one of the ways that we do that is by hosting our annual DIY festival. In fact, we're going to kind of talk a little bit more about that and what that means and how long that's been around. We're getting ready for the big one coming up the second weekend of August at the Utah State Fair Park. And then we also, later this year, will be hosting our 5th annual holiday market up in the Ogden area. We also execute our mission through our year-round DIY workshop programming, and you can find out more information about that on our website. But we have monthly workshops on a myriad of different topics. And then, of course, today we're talking about some of our curation projects, specifically these metal street frames that we call plakats. That is basically kind of like the German word for kind of a billboard. And it's here on the downtown city streets of 300 South on Broadway, which is between 2nd West and about Main's West Temple. So we would love for you to go down there if you can and see these in person, but of course we're going to be showing you the work today. We have 2 different curation projects that we do. One, Local Voices, which we just barely took down our partnership with Equality Utah. Local Voices, where we work with usually kind of more of a social justice organization to amplify their message in an artful way. And then Celebration of the Hand, which is what we're talking about today, is our own curated project in-house where we work with Craft Lake City artisans. And we're so excited. We have a couple Craft Lake City artisans here today with us to talk about their pieces. We have Abigail Peña. And Abigail, if you wouldn't mind first kind of just giving us a little intro about who you are. And I know that you are a first-time exhibitor, so this is your first time participating with Craft Lake City and at our DIY Festival, which is coming up in August.
Yeah, thank you, Angela. Yeah, it's my first time participating in Craft Lake City. I'm very excited about it, and I'm very honored to have had the chance to participate in the Celebration of the Hand exhibit. I'm a Mexican illustrator. I just moved to Salt Lake City almost a year ago. And yeah, I do mostly commissioned work and yeah, mostly just illustration. I do come from a graphic design background, but what I enjoy most is doing illustration. Thank you.
Thank you. And of course, we have some examples right here, but we'll be talking about your custom piece that you created for this exhibition in just a moment. We're also thrilled to have you here today, Allison. Kristine, could you please introduce yourself? And I know you've been part of the DIY Festival in the past, as well as some of our holiday markets.
Hi, I am Allison. So I am a Utah-based illustrator, and I do fantasy illustrations. I love doing anything magical and fantastic. And that's I have a bachelor's degree in illustration as well. So, but that's pretty much it.
Oh boy, that elusive mute button, sometimes it just gets you every time. Thank you so much, Allison. Thank you for telling us a little bit about yourself. And so again, this exhibition that is down, we just installed it about a week ago, and it's in downtown Salt Lake City. It's open 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's free for anyone to exhibit, and it showcases Craft Lake City by year. So right here, we're going to kind of start off with you, Allison. You were assigned year 1 of the organization, and essentially the Craft Lake City organization was launched with the inception of our DIY festival back in 2009. And back then we were just a one-day event, and we had a different location. We were in the heart of downtown Salt Lake City at the Gallivan Center. And could you please talk a little bit about how you took this assignment to interpret the very first year that the organization was born, by way of this event that we are still doing today, that you are now part of? What was your kind of creative process in kind of coming up with this imagery?
Well, the way that I came about the composition is basically just the feeling of like of beginning something new, and that's what I wanted to illustrate in this illustration. So I wanted to make sure that I put the Gallivan Center in there, and that big tower that's in the Gallivan Center. I wanted to make sure the tents were in there so that it kind of illustrated like, this is the first year we're starting. Also the elf in the middle, she is just kind of so relieved that it's starting and it's getting going, and it's just a really magical feeling when you do start something new.
It really is a magical feeling when you start something new. And I love that she is an elf too. I think that's really fun. Can you talk a little bit about elves? And is this something that is kind of like a character that you put in other parts of your work, or was something this uniquely for this piece?
I love drawing elves. It's probably one of my favorite things to do. I love drawing like fantastical beasts, like women with horns and women with wings and stuff like that. So it was just basically something that I just do automatically on all of my pieces. So.
Well, and one thing that we did task you with, besides interpreting this in a visual form, this year 1, was using our Craft Lake City color palette, which has these kind of nice tones of blues and greens. Was that difficult for you to do, or was that something? How did you kind of go about that process of creating with a specific color palette that you were given?
It actually wasn't too difficult, actually. So I loved all the colors. This is kind of the color palette that I work with on a daily basis anyway, like the cool tones and stuff like that. So it was not hard at all.
Nice. Well, and with you kind of like returning to the DIY festival, you've been there in the past. This will be, I believe, is this your 3rd year exhibiting at the DIY festival? Your 3rd year. Have all of them have been at the new location, which is at the Utah State Fair Park. Is that correct? Yes. And with that in mind, what are you like most excited for this year?
I just love networking, and I love working with you guys. You guys are awesome. It's so Craft Lake City is just so run well. It's really fantastic. You guys are great with communication. You get everything out for us artisans really fast. So I really enjoy it.
Well, thank you so much. That is, those compliments definitely mean so much to us, especially on those late nights when we're pulling a little extra, time in to get everything perfect before the big day. And just a shout out to the Craft Lake City team, because our team is small but mighty, and they work so hard to make that experience a good experience. So thank you so much for recognizing that, Allison. That means so much to us. Cool. Well, we're going to ask you some more questions in a little bit. We're going to go ahead and look at some of the other pieces here. So this is a nice kind of depiction of year 2 of the organization. In year 2, this is where we kind of added the kids area. So for year 1, it was really just kind of artisans, 72 artisans, and around like a dozen performers. And after that first year, I just really kind of saw that it had the power to become something more, that we could offer, more programming that actually could be a year-round organization, and also that it might take the entire year to plan the event that I had in mind. And so every year with the DIY Festival, we've been really working hard to add add kind of a new element or perfect something. And year 2 was when we add the kids area to make it more of a family-friendly event so that families could come and feel welcome, and the little ones could have like some cool crafts and DIY activities to do as well. And, it's important to get those youngsters involved in the DIY movement at a young age and see that they can be part of it too, and just how fun and rewarding it can be. So this is a fun depiction by Ty Silverstein here. And then we have here year 3. This is where we established artisan workshops. And so we didn't bring them to the DIY festival until much later. And then actually now it's something that we removed from the DIY festival. Sometimes we change programming as it goes, but our mainstay year round are these workshops. And this is just an area that has just exploded. And, we do them almost once a week now. And we have partnerships with the Natural History Museum of Utah. We have partnerships with Alibi, which people can actually go into a bar environment and craft, which is kind of fun for more of an adult theme. And this right here is really depicted by Shanna Barlow, just kind of this fun idea. I like that it's this bookshelf with some memories with Polaroids and, some books talking about just different ways to learn fun crafts. And so what a wonderful and interestingly interpreted a visual image of the idea of teaching people in the community become makers and artisans themselves. Right here, we've got artwork by Vivian Office, and right here it's depicting the STEM building. So in year 4, we really saw the opportunity to integrate science into the DIY festival. Now, you'll hear in a lot of, programming in nonprofit worlds, the term STEAM, the acronym STEAM, that stands for science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And with us already having the arts component dialed down with the DIY festival, we thought it would be fun to just bring in an own section that's STEAM, which is just the science, technology, engineering, and math component. And one of the reasons why STEM just fits so seamlessly into the work that we're doing is, because whether it is science-based work or more traditional craft-based work, it's really about problem solving and about creativity and using your creativity to solve problems, whether it is trying to figure out the best way to produce, an illustration, or to use, the Craft Lake City color palette to visually interpretate an image for a street side exhibition like we were talking about today, or whether it is to, come up with a new 3D printed product, how to engineer the best invention using a 3D printer. So we really like to kind of blur the lines between technology and science and engineering and mathematics with art, because we really see that a lot of those tools are actually used to create art as well. So that is one of the reasons that we started the STEM building. And to this day, it is still one of the most popular areas of the festival, especially for families and, let's say the dads of the festival, so to speak. So, all right, and then we've got here Craft Lake City year 5. And this is where we expanded the festival to 2 days. So at this point, we were still 100% volunteer run. That's kind of a fun fact that I think most people don't realize, is that the Craft Lake City DIY Festival and the organization, the Craft Lake City, was really bootstrapped for the first 7 years. And what that term means is basically we did not have any injections of cash from a third party or funder or from anything else. We literally just made it work, found all of the funds on our own, like a lot of small businesses and micro businesses do, to become the organization that we are today. And on year 5, we heard from our artisans, hey, we love doing this. We want to do it for 2 days. It's so much work to prepare for the 1 day. Let's just add a second day. We can increase our revenue. And so we listened and added a Friday night. And so then that's when we became a Friday and Saturday event back in 2013. This is a really fun work that is interpreted by Mary Ellen Western. And I love how it's kind of like this corner view where you can literally see like the nighttime on the left, which is Friday night, and kind of like Saturday on the right. And I would love to hear some comments from you, both of you, kind of about your thoughts on this work and on this piece. Maybe let's hear from Abigail. We haven't had a chance to chat with you yet. What are your thoughts on this piece?
Hi. Yeah, actually, I saw it a couple of weeks ago when I went by and saw all of the pieces, and I really liked it. It was one of my favorites for sure. I really love like all the tiny little details. My husband and I were kind of playing like I Spy with this piece because we love that there's like at the bottom also like the stage and all the little details, like the little puppy peeking down from the table and all that stuff. So yeah, it was definitely one of our favorites for sure.
Thank you. I love that too. I love the animal element, and it's almost kind of a nod to the future because now we officially allow dogs. We actually did allow dogs back then, but then we had to unfortunately outlaw them for a little bit. But now they are back again and welcome at the festival. But I love that kind of like nod to the animals, and even there's like a cat wandering, and the other one is kind of fun. And then of course the butterflies. Like I think this is such a really fun, creative way to interpret expanding into 2 years. So Allison, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to talk about this next piece, which was designed by Camber Carroll. And this piece is so, I mean, all of the work that everyone produced was just so over the top and wonderful. But tell me a little bit about this. This is year 6, and this is where we created the VIP area. And we kind of joined, and Harmon's, which is a local grocery store, joined as our title sponsor, which is amazing. They are still our title sponsor to this day, which we are so thankful to them. But tell me a little bit about what's coming up for you, Allison, when you view this piece and how it was like kind of interpreted this theme.
Well, I love that the person in the middle doesn't really have like a face. So it could be anybody. It could be absolutely anybody, which is amazing because Craft Lake City is very inclusive. And I think that that really illustrates that. And then I love how like the diamond is kind of like putting some, I don't know what those are, rays or something like that on his face. But I think that that really draws everybody in, kind of, you know, draws that piece in. But I love it. I love all the little tents. I really do like this piece a lot, just because of the figure in the middle. That's probably my favorite part.
Thank you. I love that too. And I love that little heart that's kind of drawn with the rays coming out of the diamond on the lapel. And that's really fun. Yeah, definitely like a very, I would think that this one might be a little bit more difficult for some individuals to interpret. And I think that they just really Camber knocked it out of the park. It's such a really unique and fun way to kind of show this concept. All right, so let's go to year 7. This is Adriana Ray, and this one, look at this. This is a large dragon. And this kind of talks about when we became, this is our final year, year 7 of being 100% volunteer run organization. And, there's all these different elements within the dragon. You can kind of see to the far right, there's like a donut and a macaron and some like maybe some ice cream or something on a spoon that kind of like does a nod to our craft food. There's some STEM elements. Then over working our way around the picture to the left, you can see some musical notes kind of representative of the music. And then, it kind of goes to like some tools and then this beautiful koi fish and, kind of and then I think like some jewelry even that might even be a nod to our artisans that create jewelry that sell at the festival. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this piece, Abigail.
Yeah, I really liked also like most of the, I know that I might be saying very similar things, but I really like all the little details that you mentioned. And definitely I liked how they incorporated the color palette. I feel like it's very different because it's very like prominent, the colors that the color palette had. But yeah, I really liked all of the little details and little nods to everything that happens at Craft Lake City.
Thank you. I do too. I think it was really, really fun. And again, this was the year that we went, our last year to kind of have 100% run volunteer organization. And then kind of leading into year 8, this is when we started charging festival admission. Up to this point, the festival was free. And at that point, after doing it for 7 years, it just became very evident that we were running out of gas and needed to go to fill up the gas tank. And that costs money. And so, so in order to do that, we determined that the public was finally ready to start paying for the programming that we offered after we gave it to them for 7 years. For no charge, and we started a admission charge of just $5. And with that, we really became aware that one of the things why we really wanted, had waited so long to put an admission charge is we wanted the festival to be accessible to everyone. And we were really mindful that even just $5 for some individuals can be, a barrier that means they might not be able to attend the festival. And, with the festival having such wonderful small price points with artisans, even selling some items, stickers, or other fun things for $5, we really want individuals to be able to support the artisans and also to be able to walk away, even if they have a small budget, with a creative piece that they can take home and really value and decorate their living space or use as a gift or something fun, and while supporting a local artist. And so we wanted to make sure that our admission fee could still be very low, but also that we could have an accessibility plan for individuals that wouldn't be able to pay that fee. So that was when we launched our essentially our inclusion program. And we launched it with working with our sponsored families. And this is where we worked with other nonprofit organizations for them to identify individuals in the community that they work with that might be in a low income bracket and would really want to come to this event, but wouldn't be able to pay the fee. And we still have this program to this day. It's really expanded to where we're serving a number of different families and hundreds of individuals. And we provide them a full festival experience. So not only do they get the waiver of the admission, but they also receive food vouchers because eating at a festival food can be very expensive as well. And then also we give them a merchandise voucher as well, so they can go to the Craft Lake City booth and walk away with a fun product. That way, again, they can have a full festival experience. They can eat, they can walk away with an item, a piece of merchandise, and then also vouchers for them to have their family take part in the STEM activities or the kids area activities, because Craft Lake City runs those in those 2 different areas, but we do charge nominal fees. Again, we try and keep those low, but again, that can be a barrier, especially if you have a number of kids. A $5 rocket launch fee, which is something that we're doing this year, launching water rockets, that can add up if you've got 4 kids, and you may or may not be able to afford that. And so again, we want this program to be accessible to as many individuals as we possibly can. And so we tasked Al Gore with really kind of like taking this program and interpreting it in a visual way. And I think did a pretty good job with it. So thank you to Al Gore on this. Okay, now we're going to look at this one from Elaine Lee. And I would love to hear a little bit from you, Allison, about what your thoughts are on this one. And this is when we established Kid Row, which is our youth artisan entrepreneurship program, where kids, it's a little pop-up on Saturday, and where they come in for a few hours and they sell their work. What do you think about how Elaine was able to interpret our Kid Row programming at the DIY Festival?
Well, first of all, I love how simplistic it is. It's very simplistic, very childlike. I really just enjoy looking at it. It's very it tugs on my little kid heartstrings over here. So I really do love just how childlike it looks.
Thank you. Well, and new for this year, we actually, so in the past, it used to be a 14 and under program. And then we kind of heard from individuals, both in the education space and the community, that said, hey, you need to expand this to 18 and under, because there are older kids that still want to be part of this. And so new for this year, it's 18 and under. And with that in mind, our Kid Row size is doubled. We have 80 kids confirmed to sign up to Vend this year on Saturday, which we're so thrilled about. And oh my goodness, I spend so much money on Kid Row every single year, because it's the most adorable thing, seeing these youngsters, selling to you and taking your card and running it through their card reader. It is just worth every penny. But so warning, if you do go into Kid Row, you might end up spending a little more than you bargained for. All right, now so here we've got Mackenzie Wallace with their piece, and look at this, just a completely different style than any of the works we've seen this far. And this marks our 10-year anniversary, so just 5 years ago. And this is when we sort of wrapped up 10 years at Gallivan. Our first 10 years were at the Gallivan Center. But this also talks about when we started adding more of kind of like a demonstrative element into the festival. And this is a demonstrative element that really kind of incorporated more pottery and into the event there. And also we did like a live pottery demonstration and kind of live demos. And Abigail, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this work. What do you think about this style and about how they interpret this idea?
I really, really love the style of this one. I feel like sometimes like less is more, in the sense of like just using like 3 or 4 plain colors, like just the blob of just black, just white, just the green. I feel like that's a very difficult thing to do, especially for me. So I really admire how they did this very detailed piece with such like simple traces. And I feel like it does, like, as soon as you see it, you know that it has something to do with pottery. You might not know specifically what, but yeah, I feel like they did a great job.
Yes, I love how you called out that to you it seems like there's something to do with pottery, obviously with the visual elements there too, but it almost looks like it's something that could be seen on like the side of some pottery or something too, right? Like something there. Cool. Thank you for sharing your thoughts there. And this right here is a really fantastic piece. This is Camille Nugent, and she does this really cool photography-based digital collage work, and she is just so talented. I love this one that she did, which is really depicting when the organization expanded into Ogden. Now, as we mentioned in the beginning of this, our mission statement is to elevate Utah's creative culture. So not just Salt Lake City's, although our name of our organization is kind of like a nod to Salt Lake City, Craft Lake City, right? But it's to really elevate everyone in every creative in Utah. And so we really wanted to kind of flex that part of our mission statement by launching some programming just north of us in Ogden, Utah, which is an incredible city. And also with that, at this point, the organization is a little over 10 years old. And honestly, ever since our first year, people had been asking us to do a holiday market. And in years past, we really just, I didn't want us to do a holiday market because, number one, we were such a low staff, and I didn't want to put that burden on our team. But the other thing about that too, at that time, those early years, was that there were all these other wonderful small like pop-up markets that were happening in Salt Lake by groups of artisans. And I felt like I didn't want Craft Lake City to come in and kind of compete with those pop-up holiday markets that they were doing. And I wanted them to be able to still do those and be very successful and have wonderful attendees. And so also when we decided, okay, we have the team, we have enough in our wheelhouse where we can launch a holiday market, I thought, well, let's look at, again, expanding that mission statement, really flexing into to the Ogden area. And so that's when we launched the holiday market up in the Ogden space, because at that time, there was a really kind of like up and coming art scene happening up in Ogden, Utah. There still is. And there wasn't a lot of opportunity for those Ogden artisans to really showcase their work. So we saw that as kind of a win-win. So that's when we launched up there. And now we're about ready to celebrate 5 years of our Ogden holiday market up there. And it's just been a lot of fun. And I know, Abigail, you haven't had a chance to participate in our Ogden market yet, which hopefully we'll have you there this year if you feel like you can apply and that works for your schedule. But I do know that you have been able to participate. Allison, can you tell us a little bit about your experience at the holiday market?
So I actually really enjoy the holiday market because it's all like, it's a lot of like Christmassy stuff, but it's also very, original and very like, just an original gift that you're giving to somebody when you buy from the holiday market. So I really enjoyed it. I felt really, I don't know, it was just a magical feeling.
Thank you. Well, and it's really fun too, because the venue that we use up there now is in a historic building. It's the historic Ogden train station up there, the train depot, and which is, for those of you that are familiar with a little bit with like Utah history, it was where the Golden Spike, where the railroads were connected. And so there's really some interesting history up there. And we feel really fortunate to be in that historic building and to be able to program in there. Well, let's move on to our 11th year, or pardon me, year 12, pardon me, our 12th year. And this is the year when we went virtual. So this was a really bizarre year for everyone on Earth in 2020, the year when COVID just shut everything down, changed everybody's lives, and really focused us all to look inward. And with the organization, we really we're kind of looking for a way to how can we kind of expand the technology part of our mission statement? We elevate Utah's creative community through science, technology, and art. And so we thought, okay, what's the opportunity here with everyone kind of learning how to live life through screens and through Zoom meetings and interactions with friends and family in that way? How can we take this to a virtual format and do it in a different way than anybody else is doing? And so this is where we actually worked on this incredible free online platform called Mozilla Hubs. And we tasked all of the artisans. We built a festival inside of this, and we created almost like a virtual video game type festival. And we tasked all of the artisans to become makers in the sense of them making their own digital booth space. And they had to learn this program in just like 30 days, which is very ambitious, and create a really cool visual space there that way. And it was very challenging, very fun. I think a great way for us to, really get creative and still have a festival in a new way in light of the pandemic. And Allison, were you able to participate in the virtual festival? I think you were, is that right?
That is correct, yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
So it was a new one for me. I've never done anything like that. And it was just like, I don't know, a virtual reality world where you were just selling your wares. And it was very interesting to see how many people came and went and participated as well. So it was a really interesting experience, but very fun.
Well, and for those that were unable to attend virtually back in 2020. So with this platform that I mentioned, we created a digital space. It was almost like a video game where you could sign in with an avatar. You could actually create your own avatar, and then you could roam the festival that we created digitally, and then go into these different rooms. And each room was a booth that an artisan had made, and they had designed their own room that was their booth with their products. And then it had links to their digital online stores. So you could still purchase their work, and you could interact with them through your avatar and their avatar, and you could talk. However, that being said, it was a newer program, and so there were sort of some glitches. It worked better with some platforms than others, had some problems where people that were using mobile wasn't quite mobile optimized yet, but it was a lot of fun. And in fact, on the Friday night of the DIY festival, it was so busy. We had so much traffic that we actually overran the Mozilla Hub server and crashed their server. And it was so funny, but luckily the Mozilla team had heard about what we were building. And in fact, we actually had built the largest project they'd ever seen on their space. They actually heard about it, and they were there in avatar form. And it was just so happened to be that right before it crashed, I was meeting with them in avatar form in one of the rooms, one of the buildings, when it crashed. And so they were able to go ahead and fix it and allocate more server space to our specific server that had the DIY festival living on it, so then it could stay up and running all weekend. And now that it's like a paid service that you do with their program. But it was so fun to kind of just learn something new. And actually it was, that's kind of like the best problem to have and the worst problem to have at the same time when you overrun a server space. It's like a compliment to how popular you're doing, but it also is like a technical nightmare where it's like, oh my gosh, people cannot have a good user experience right now. So it kept us on our toes. It was so fun. And kudos to all of those artisans, including yourself, Allison, that said, okay, I'm up for the challenge. Let's do this. We're just going to trust you, Craft Lake City, and learn this new program and do the best that we can, because it was a scary time with health aside and the pandemic aside. It was just a scary time for businesses anyway. And how are we going to bring in any revenue in a scary time to try this new platform and this new thing? So thank you again for your help there. Then moving on to year 13, this is when we launched the Craft Lake City Business Academy. and also a dog park area at the DIY festival. And we've got this really fun kind of like patchwork quilt design by Bianca Velasquez. And I'd love to hear from you, Abigail, your thoughts on this piece of work.
Yeah, actually, I started following Bianca a couple of weeks ago before this piece came out. But yeah, I'm a really big fan of her work. It's also great to seeing another Latina doing this kind of thing, and I really loved all the details that she like put into the work, like all the little squares on the quilt and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, and I love to hear too that through your experience with Craft Like City, you're learning about other artisans to follow and stuff like that too. That's wonderful. That's and I think Allison, you mentioned that networking was like a big reason why you enjoy being part of the festival, and that's honestly a big reason why I started the organization and the festival back 15 years ago, was that so all of the creative makers could come and have a place to go to, and you know, not only for the public to see their work and to purchase it and support them, but for the artisans themselves, so they could meet each other and know that there's other creative collective minds out there that are doing amazing things that live here locally. You know, back then, I think our creative self-esteem as a culture was just, you know, on the floor, and we just didn't feel like, you know, a lot of people felt like, oh, they have to go to these bigger cities to get recognized. And of course, technology has kind of changed all that, which is so wonderful. And I think that we've really started to see, you know, a lot of individuals now work with each other, get inspired by each other, and realize that, hey, they can do this, you know, they can do it themselves. They can become an artist and a creator, a maker themselves. And so I'm happy to hear that some of that is coming through with these networking experiences and following each other and supporting each other that way, because that's a big deal too when we support each other by viewing each other's work. So thank you for sharing that, Abigail. And then here we've got year 14, which this is where we pioneered our Youth Artisan Entrepreneur Program. So thanks to the Utah After School Network, which is one of our big partners for Kid Row, big funders, and allow us to make that event possible at the DIY festival. They also provide us with a programming grant where we can go into Title I schools on the West Side and help those individuals, those youngsters, learn from our creators and makers. And this is something that maybe a lot of individuals here locally know, but something that I was unaware of is that a lot of elementary schools now do not have art as part of their curriculum. And so if young kids want to learn art, they've got to learn it outside of, you know, elementary school. And a lot of individuals just, you know, parents just are not able to do that, even if their kid is interested, for a lot of different reasons, and, you know, access, resources, budgets, all of the types of those things. And so we saw this as an opportunity for us to go in there and work with after school programs to bring in makers and creators and have them share what they're doing and just show these youngsters what's possible. And then also see it as a way to empower these youth to become creators and makers themselves and sign up to vend at Kid Row. And so you'll be able to meet some of them there. So this is kind of a fun way to interpret that program with this work. Okay, excellent. So as we kind of, oops, pardon me, we want to get ahead and get to the Q&A portion of this work right here. So have we had any questions kind of come through the chat there? Craft Like team, Belinda.
Not at the moment, but I'm sure a lot of people have had many questions that they just haven't put down yet.
Excellent. So I think we have some questions prepared. So let's go ahead and chat about some of those questions. Let's see here. Let's see, Tiana, I think we have a question that maybe we can go ahead and ask Abigail.
Oh, we have a question from the chat if I want to jump in first. So one question we got from the chat was, what was the most difficult thing to translate the themes into illustrations?
Oh, so I think for me it was quite difficult to translate specifically like virtual themes. My illustration was on the year 2020, so the year the festival went virtual. It was difficult for me because I'm not used to illustrating a lot of digital and online sort of themes. So I had a bit of a rough time coming up with some ideas, but the team was amazing and they gave me some ideas back. And so it really helped me with like coming up with some more stuff to put on the piece so we could fully like represent what the virtual festival was like. I think you can see on my illustration, there's even one of like the little avatars that you got to create. And so there's even though I wasn't there, they sent me like, the team sent me all of this like videos and articles about the event. And it was just amazing getting to see all of that. So I wanted to incorporate little pieces of it into my illustration. And I think that's what I struggled with the most, but at the end it was very rewarding.
Great. And I'll just put up your work here. Can we see it? Can everyone see it? And let me just apologize, Abigail. I sort of steamrolled over your piece. Apologize and forgot to ask and stop and ask you. So thank you so much for mentioning that this was the one I got so enthralled talking about the video game platform. So let's go back here and just pause for a minute and look at this beautiful work that you did. Can you talk, and you just talked a little bit about the creative process and doing that. I love how you've got kind of some verbiage up here, the support women with the bubble. And then there's this tattoo with some beautiful script there. Can you talk a little bit about that portion of the illustration here?
Yeah, I really wanted to also like add a little bit of what I usually talk about in my work, which is I really always try to incorporate a little bit of women's rights issues and stuff like that, because it's something very important to me. And I know that Craft Lake City is also an organization that just supports everyone. Like I said, it's my first year, but one of my best friends lives here in Utah, and he's been to all of the DIY fests, and I just love seeing whenever he goes, and he used to bring me like these little gifts from there. So actually I knew a lot of Salt Lake City artists because he went and he bought stuff from them. And so it's just like I wanted to add a little bit of me also in the illustration. And so I added that little speech bubble of support women, and the names on the tattoo are actually like my friends, my mom, my sister, just women around me that have always supported me. And even though they're all back in Mexico, it was very lovely for them to get to see their names up in here. And once I posted the pictures, they were very excited about it. So yeah, I also wanted to add like the shop local and all that stuff that I feel like that's what was really also a challenge to, because mostly when we talk about digital and virtual stuff, I feel like we tend to think like, oh, just technology and very like cold and rough things. But I feel like this was a very warm event and very like positive overall, helping each other through some rough times. So I wanted it to be like a little bit warmer and with a sense of community.
Well, I think you definitely accomplished those goals in this piece. Thank you for sharing that so much, Abigail. It's a wonderful, wonderful work. And it is hanging, of course, as we mentioned, on the street as part of the Streetside exhibition show. Have you had a chance to go see it on 3rd South? I think you said earlier that you've been down to see them. Can you talk about like what that's like to see your work on the street like that, available for anyone to walk by and view it?
I was honestly so excited. I think it's the first time that I get to see my work that big and like especially like on the street or something like that. So I was definitely very happy with how it looked. I think as soon as I got the email that they were up, I think the next day I told my husband, like, we need to go see it. And so I definitely didn't wait to go and check it out. And it was just amazing. I think it was lovely to see like the whole street, like all decorated with all these pieces of art. And I really loved how the color palette makes them all look like very cohesive and very like part of the same thing. And you can see that through the street, like just walking around you, they definitely like, they pop up because they're all like, I don't know, they feel like they're all together.
Yes, and thank you for, and I'm glad that you noticed that and that came through, and that's our intention with kind of sharing and saying, hey, please use this color palette with your work, is so that we'll kind of have that visual cue, because everyone has such a different art style, which we think is such a unique benefit to this programming that we do, but we want them also to kind of be united. And for that to be a visual cue for individuals to kind of understand that, oh, these are all part of the same collective. It's all a part of the same suite. It's part of the same group. And then also, metaphor, like we're all connected. We're all one. And with that visual cue, I'm glad that you noticed that walking in the street, and that was evident too. What was kind of, did you go down with your husband or with anyone else in your family?
I just went with my husband, but I told my friends that live here in Utah, and I was just like, it's down there if you guys want to go check it out. And a couple of them already have. I'm also like, whenever there's a theater nearby that we like to go to, so whenever we're there, I'm like, can we just walk down the street and check them out again?
Yes, that's so wonderful. I'm so happy that that your network is really enjoying seeing your work up like that. And we think it's really important to provide this artwork up for free for individuals of all backgrounds, all demographics, any person to walk by this work and have an experience. Maybe they're on their way to work, or maybe onto a theater. I mean, you mentioned one of your favorite theaters is around. But just to really kind of be exposed to this art and to this creation. And again, as with the idea that it will impact them. And we never know what our creative work, how it will change the world and change individuals. And I personally do believe that seeing this type of work in an environment, in an urban environment where you may not expect it, can have the power to change an individual and with a positive experience. And I have no doubt, Abigail, that your work is definitely doing that, with people being able to see that, and especially with these messages of empowerment and love that are circled throughout your work here. Is there anything else that you want to kind of like mention about being a creator, or about your experience creating this work, or anything in general about your work that you think is important that others should know about?
I think I just said most of it, but I think I'm just very, very excited about this whole Craft Lake City Festival. The team has been amazing with me. And I'm so honored to have been able to be a part of this celebration of the hand exhibition. And I really loved, I will say that the team makes the whole process very enjoyable. Everyone's so nice. So I can't even wait for the actual event. It hasn't even been, and I'm already so happy to be a part of it.
Oh, well, thank you so much for sharing that. And we hope that we'll be able to work with you for years to come. And we're very excited for this to be your first event. And yes, this work is going to be up throughout the rest of the month and through September as well. So we hope everyone will make time to go. Of course, you can view it on our website and on our social media, but seeing the work in person really is impactful. And they are actually 4 feet by 8 feet, so 4 feet tall and 8 feet long. And it is so fun to see everyone's work just amplified in this large visual way that really commands a presence and commands the viewer stop and look at it. So we hope the public is able to go ahead and make time to do that. And right here, we've got a nice slide that gives a visual of where it is. So those individuals that are familiar with downtown Salt Lake City and know our Broadway thoroughfare on 300 South, we've got the placards, which are hung from 2nd West all the way up through Main Street. So just past West Temple up to Main Street and then down over through 2nd West. And there's, of course, some kind of landmark buildings there to kind of give people an idea about where they are. So it's really just about a 2-block walk. And you can see some incredible work by 14 different local artisans. Okay, great. So it's about time for us to start wrapping up. I wanted to ask a question to you, Allison, about, I wanted to ask a question kind of like about what we've got going. What are your, is there anything that you want individuals to know about the work that you created or about your experience being part of the creative community?
I don't really know. I guess just being a part of the creative community. We have such a huge community in Utah as far as creativity is concerned, and all of us are very, like, we love each other. We're very inclusive. It's an awesome community to be a part of, and then to add on top of that, Craft Lake City bringing us all together in one space is just phenomenal. I've never had a bad experience. I've always had a good one. It's just been a fantastic experience, and I hope that people will come and check us out when the time comes. So
well, thank you. We're so excited to see you both at the DIY Festival happening August 11th, 12th, and 13th. Oh my goodness, in just a few short weeks. So everyone, please do mark out your calendars, come down to the Utah State Fair Park. And of course, follow these incredible artisans on social media. And we have a survey that we're going to be posting in the chat here shortly. So if you all can just click a link to that survey, of course, we're going to email it out to everyone that registered to watch this as well. But I want to just give a big shout out to our funders that make this program possible. The Salt Lake City Arts Council, the National Endowment for the Arts, the George S. and Dolores Dory Eccles Foundation, the Center for the Living City, of course, funded by the Utah Legislature and the Utah Division of Arts and Museums, and the Temporary Museum of Permanent Change, the Zoo Arts and Parks, Salt Lake County ZAP program, and the Center for the Living City. So thank you so much to those incredible funders. And of course, thank you for being here today. We couldn't, of course, have this lunch and learn without those incredible artisans. So thank you so much, Abigail, Peña, and Allison, Kristine. So thank you so much. And we really hope to work with you all again. And any final shout outs either one of you would like to say? Let's go with you, Abigail, first.
No, again, I feel like I already said it, but really thanks to the whole team. Everyone's been so very nice and so very helpful. I'm really excited for the event, and yeah, I hope I can see you all out there.
Awesome. And any last shout outs to you from you, Allison?
I'm just so very thankful to be a part of this, and you guys are amazing.
Thanks, everyone. Well, thank you again, and we will chat soon. And everyone, go down and check out the art exhibition on 300 South. Cool. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful day.